All right, so this is a basic introduction to SAS programming, and by basic I mean very basic. So we're going to start with locating the SAS help, and there's this button here at the top. We're going to click that, and I already have the SAS help open, and you'll see it here. And you can use this to search different procs or functions, and it's really nice. You get a lot of examples. So that is the SAS help. Say, for example, we want to learn more about the options in proc means. So type proc means, you can click the means statement and see, oh, this is for GLM procedure. That's not what we're looking for. So here we go, proc means right here, and it gives you some information about the syntax and the different options, as well as an overview. This concepts, how proc means works, and then there's all these different examples. So maybe we want to learn how to use the by statement in proc means. We have this sample code here, and you can just highlight this code, copy it, and paste it in a new window, click run, and if we had the data set loaded, then we would be able to see the output, but I haven't loaded the data set. So back to SAS help. And this is the output that we would get. And so that's the example using a by statement in proc means. So you can play around with SAS help, look further for more information about different syntax. So now we're going to go on to permanent data sets. And close this. Now I'm going to save it. So we're going to go to the Explorer tab down here. Right there, we're in the Explorer tab. And I want you to take note of this libraries here. And we have these different libraries. We have work, where a lot of our data sets are going to go to, our temporary data sets. But for permanent, we'll go to SAS help. And then we have all these different data sets in here. And I want you to open B-weight, which is right here. So you can just click it, and you'll see the data set opens right up. These are the names of all the variables, and you can see how they're coded. So married is coded, it looks like a 0, 1, but we'll have to check that with frequency. And so we can do proc contents to learn more about this data set, but just getting started. Another option for looking at the data set is a proc print. We might do proc print data SAS help dot B-weight, run, highlight your data, and click the little run guy, and it'll print the entire data set for you. It might just take a minute, especially if the data set is large. Don't know why this is so slow today. We've got 50,000 observations. This is the log window up here at the top. So there's 50,000 observations read from the dataset SAS help.bweight. It's going to print all of those observations, so it's going to take a minute. And there it is. So now it's all been printed. This is the same exact thing we looked at before when we were in the Explorer and clicked body weight or B weight. It's body weight, but All right, so here is the data set. Like I said, when you click this here and open it up, this is the same as in the results printed here. Now, so that took a really long time to run, and maybe you have an even larger data set. So what I suggest doing if you're printing just to get a quick look at your data is to run a certain number of observations. So for now, I'm just going to choose 10, but you can change this to any number you would like. I'm just going to stick with 10. So we're going to highlight it and run. Okay, so here is our 10 observations printed. So that took a little bit of time as well, and what I'm going to do is clear our results viewer. So I'm just going to click Edit, Clear All, and then they all go away, and that helps with our runtime as well. So that's a quick introduction to SAS permanent data sets. And in the sample questions from your lab, I ask for you to open some different data sets. So we can look at this baseball data set. We have player's name, their team, and their hits and home runs. And so those are different variables. And I want you to tell me what type of variable it is. So for example, player's name, that's a nominal variable. And runs in 1986, that's going to be continuous. And you can tell me what level after you kind of think about that for a little bit. And similarly, we can scroll around through here and maybe open this fish data set, and we see we have species and their weight, and then these different lengths, heights, and widths of the fish. So there's some other kinds there. So that is what you need to do for section 2 of your lab. And now we're going to go on to creating our own data set. So here is, well, let me go back. This is your first proc, that proc print. So that's a procedure. And then we have the procedure step. And then here we have the data steps. So for SAS, there's a set of rules. The first is that every line should end with a semicolon every time you execute a statement. So we have this length, and then we have input, and then data lines. We have this proc print statement and the run statement. Those all end with semicolons. SAS will take uppercase or lowercase. It doesn't make any difference for SAS, whereas, for example, an R is very case sensitive and you must be consistent. Statements can continue to the next line as long as you don't split words into two. So, for example, we have this length statement and we could go like that, and then for the input we could do something like this. And SAS doesn't care. It's all the same as if we had it in one line. Those would give us the same statement or the same output. What would be a problem is if we did that. That would be an issue because then we're breaking up that patient into two variables and we want it to be one. So it needs to be continuous there. Also, we can have statements on the same line. So instead of lining them up like this, maybe you just want it all on one line. And that's fine too. Also, here in this green, this is a comment. You can write comments like this, or like this. And these are basically notes for yourself. SAS is going to ignore those. And this is good for when you start writing more complicated code and you need to make notes for yourself about what your code means and why you wrote it out a certain way. So we have this data set, B pressure, and it has a patient ID and the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. We're going to highlight this and click run, and we can see in our log window that everything ran fine. There's no red, no warnings, and we have 22 observations and 3 variables. So that's exactly what we wanted. 1 here, 2 here, and 3 there, so we are good. So now we can print this to make sure everything's lined up the way we want it, and it looks good. I only print 10 observations there. So as I already mentioned, if you change this 10 to a different number, then your output will be more or less depending on how many observations you instructed SAS to print. So now in section 4, we're going to be setting the working directory, and this %let statement is actually going to be your first macro statement, and we have dir. This can be anything you like. It can be ABC, BF, or GHI, whatever you want it to be. I have dir for directory, and then this is my file path where all my different data is located, and this is going to help making my code a little bit more efficient. And you don't have to do this way, but I personally like this. So this is the path to where my data is. So I'm just going to highlight this and run. And you can see in the log window, everything is good. And now we want to import some data. So one thing to note is when you use this macro, we got to tell SAS to go back and get the rest of the statement and put it in place here, basically. I'm going to highlight this and run it. Okay. Currently, I changed where my data is located. So let's go back, and I'm going to go to my Dropbox, here, KGI, and labs, data sets, and we need the German breast cancer. So what I'm going to do is change my file path. Rerun this, and now we should be good to go. Oh, so there's a mistake I made here, and I need to say data. Let's see, what was it again? Data set and underscore labs. Data set. So this gives you an idea, kind of some mistakes that commonly occur and how you can go about solving them. All right, now we're good to go. So there's 686 observations and 16 variables. Now the same exact code can be rewritten like this. Instead of using that macro, we can fill in all of the entire file path. Highlight it, click run, and we get the same thing. So again, I like it. I like this short, direct, simple code. All right, so that is an Excel file, and then if we want to do a text file, then we got to indicate that we have a text file and the delimited. the text, and here we go. All right, and we got 685 and 57 variables, and we know that that was the same as the one before, so everything ran smoothly. We're good to go. So that's some basic proc import. And so in the lab, I ask you to place a small image of the SAS log window after importing the Excel and text files. So here is from the Excel file. So I just suggest you can use this snipping tool and just highlight and then copy, go to the assignment, and there's the Excel, paste, and we're good to go. And then again for the text, snipping tool, highlight, copy, and paste in the text. Okay. And then lastly, I'm just going to quickly show you how to use SAS as a basic calculator. There's a lot of other options, but these are just a few. First off, let's just go straight ahead and highlight this here and see what happens. All right, so everything ran. There's no warning signs. And if you see, we have this list of numbers 4, 6, 0.5, 64, 2, 8, and 0.74. These are all of the answers to 2 plus 2, 2 times 3, 2 over 4, 2 to the power of 6, and they're all listed here. So this put statement, as you can see, tells SAS to print the variable that we listed, which we named A. This is the name of the variable that is assigned the value of 2 plus 2 right here, and that's 4. So in the lab, I ask you to change this and delete all of these puts on every line and highlight this here. All you have to do is copy it, paste, delete all these, and run. That says J, we need to change that to a G. And you'll see how this changes the output. And you see now we have it kind of in this listed format. So that's the difference between the code before with all the put A's and B's, C, D, E, F, G in that format. They don't have to follow after each statement. We'll do that at the end, so we can do semicolon and then put B. And I'm just going to delete the rest of these for now. And if you run this, then you can see how it's going to change. We have 4 and 6 now in this vertical layout instead of the horizontal format. So I just suggest you keep playing around and get a little bit more comfortable with SAS, and that is your very quick and very basic introduction to using SAS.